I am sitting across from my mom in her kitchen. The sun is shining through the window, reflecting off my wedding binder. I've spent months filling it with photos of white roses, lace fabrics, and perfect cakes. Ryan, my fiancé, is sitting right next to me, holding my hand. We are talking about the venue deposit when Mom suddenly clears her throat. She looks at me with a very casual expression, as if she is about to mention the weather. "Oh, Scarlett, about your wedding fund," she says, pausing to take a sip of her tea. "I decided to give it to your brother." My stomach drops instantly. I feel like the air has been sucked out of the room. I actually let out a small laugh because I am certain she is joking. It has to be a joke. We have been talking about this fund since I graduated college. It was $60,000 set aside specifically for my big day. But Mom isn't laughing. She isn't even smiling. She just looks at me with a flat stare. My grip tightens on the edge of the table until my knuckles turn white. "You gave Jason all of it?" I whisper. She nods once. Just like that, my wedding is gone. Mom shrugs her shoulders like it is no big deal. She reaches across the table to grab a cookie. "Jason needed it more for his new tech startup," she explains. "He has this vision, Scarlett. He just needs a little push to get it off the ground." I look at Ryan, and I can see his jaw is tight. He is usually the most patient man I know, but even he is shocked. Mom continues, "Besides, you're marrying Ryan. He has a good job. You two will be fine. Jason doesn't have that kind of support system yet. He's struggling." I realize in that moment that this wasn't an accident or a hard choice for her. She didn't call me to ask. She didn't even warn me before the money was moved. She just chose him over me because she assumes I will always just handle it. It is the story of my life. I am the reliable one, the one who doesn't make trouble. Jason is the dreamer who constantly needs a safety net. I realize that in my mother's eyes, my happiness is secondary to my brother's ambition. She truly believes I don't mind being sidelined for his sake. The next Sunday, we have our usual family dinner. I thought maybe Mom would keep the news quiet, but she does the opposite. She stands up at the head of the table and clinks her glass. She proudly announces to all our aunts, uncles, and cousins that she has invested in Jason's future. She makes it sound like she is a genius business mogul. Everyone starts clapping and cheering for Jason. They tell him how lucky he is and how they can't wait to see him become a billionaire. Then, Mom turns her gaze toward me. She gives the room a sweet, patronizing smile. "And we have to thank Scarlett, too," she says. She was so understanding about the wedding fund. She's always been our low-maintenance daughter. She doesn't need the big fancy things to be happy. A few people laugh, and someone even pats me on the back like I've done something noble. I sit there, humiliated, staring at my plate. I feel myself shrinking. To them, my dream wedding was just a fancy thing that didn't matter. They see my silence as agreement, not as the deep, painful hurt that it actually is. After dinner, Jason pulls me aside in the hallway. He has that classic smirk on his face, the one he uses when he thinks he's won a game. He leans against the wall and crosses his arms. "Hey, sis, don't look so down," he says, sounding completely insincere. "Relax. I'm going to pay it back tenfold when things finally take off. You'll get your money back with interest." I look at him, seeing the same boy who used to break my toys and tell me he'd buy me better ones later, but he never did. To him, my wedding fund was just some temporary collateral he could borrow. He doesn't understand that a wedding is a timeline, a specific moment in life that you can't just hit pause on while someone else plays with your money. He treats it like a business loan, not a gift from our late father that was meant for me. He doesn't even say thank you. He just acts like he deserved the money more because his startup is more important than my marriage. I don't say a word to him. I just turn around and walk out the door. That night, the house is quiet. Ryan and I are sitting on the sofa, but I'm not really watching the television. I'm just staring at the wall, thinking about the wedding binder I threw into the back of the closet earlier. Ryan turns to me and asks softly, "Scarlett, do you actually need that money?" I hesitate for a long time. I think about my bank accounts and the years of work I've put in. I look at him and slowly shake my head. No, I admit. I don't. Because the truth is, I never actually needed my mom's help. I've been successful on my own for a long time, but I kept that a secret from my family. They always assumed I was just a junior assistant or a freelance helper. They never bothered to ask what I actually do. The fund was supposed to be a sentimental gift, a gesture of love from my parents. It was supposed to mean that they valued my milestones as much as Jason's. Giving it away didn't ruin me financially, but it ruined my trust in them. I realized then that they don't know who I really am. For the last 6 years, I have been living a double life. While my family saw me as the quiet, low-maintenance girl who worked on her laptop in the corner, I was actually building a high-end branding agency. I work with international clients, luxury fashion brands, and tech giants. I am the person they call when they want to launch a brand with class and style. I've made more money in the last 3 years than Jason has in his entire life. But I never bragged about it. I never bought a flashy car or wore expensive logos to family dinners. I liked the peace of being invisible. I liked that nobody expected anything from me. But now, that silence has backfired. Because I was so quiet, Mom felt she could just take what was mine without any consequences. She thought she was taking from a low-maintenance girl who didn't have much. She didn't realize she was taking from a woman who could buy the entire wedding venue twice over if she wanted to. The money wasn't my future, but the act of taking it was a message I couldn't ignore. I stand in front of the bathroom mirror and splash cold water on my face. I look at my reflection and realize that I am tired of being the calm one. This isn't about the $60,000 anymore. It is about the fact that my own mother looked at me and decided I was worth less than my brother's unproven ideas. It is about being overlooked at every holiday, every dinner, and every major life event. I've spent my whole life being the safety net for everyone else, making sure things ran smoothly while Jason took all the credit and all the resources. If I let this slide now, it will never stop. They will always expect me to be the one who sacrifices. They will always treat me like a background character in Jason's movie. For once, I decide that I won't let it slide. I won't scream, and I won't cry. I am going to use the one thing I am better at than anyone else, planning and branding. I am going to change the narrative. I am going to show them exactly who I am, but I'm going to do it on my own terms. A few days later, I go back to my mom's house. I act very calm, almost like I've moved on. I sit down and tell her, "Ryan and I talked it over. Since the fund is gone, we're just doing something small now. Probably just a quick courthouse thing and a dinner." My mom looks so relieved that it actually hurts to see. She literally exhales a long breath and pats my hand. "Oh, Scarlett, thank you for being so mature," she says. "I knew you would understand. It's just so much easier this way. Now I don't have to worry about the stress of a big event, and Jason can focus on his business." She is too relieved. She is so happy that I've shrunk my life to fit her mistakes. That is the final confirmation I need. She isn't sorry at all, she is just glad I'm not making her feel guilty. That's when I decide to change one detail. I'm not going to have a courthouse wedding. I'm going to have the wedding of the century, but I'm not going to tell her a single thing about it until the invitations arrive. The secret planning begins immediately. I don't use the wedding binder Mom saw. I open a new, encrypted file on my laptop. I call in every favor I've ever earned in my career. I contact a world-famous wedding planner I worked with for a luxury hotel launch. Within 48 hours, I've secured a breathtaking luxury vineyard in California wine country. It is exclusive, expensive, and usually has a 2-year waiting list. But they know me, and they have a cancellation. I book the entire estate for 3 days. To my family, I keep up the act. When Mom asks how the small plans are going, I just say, it's coming along. Don't worry about it. I make it sound like I'm just picking out a sundress and a restaurant. Behind the scenes, I am hiring a 5-star catering team and a live orchestra. I am designing a custom gown with a designer in Paris. This isn't just a wedding anymore, it is a masterpiece of branding. I am creating an experience that will show everyone exactly what low maintenance really looks like when she has her own resources. Next, I look at the guest list. This is the part that requires the most precision. For years, I've invited people out of obligation. I've tolerated family members who only talk to me to ask how Jason is doing. I decide that this wedding is only for people who truly see me. I keep my closest friends, my mentors, and my colleagues who know my real worth. I keep the relatives who have actually called me in the last year to see how I'm doing. I quietly edit out the cousins who laughed at the dinner table when Mom called me low maintenance. I don't send them invitations, I just don't send them invitations at all. Mom assumes the guest list is just our immediate family and a few neighbors. She thinks it's 20 people in the backyard. She has no idea that the real list is a who's who of the industry I actually work in. Every person on that list is someone who respects me. I am curating my environment, making sure that when the big day comes, I am surrounded by support, not by people who are just there for a free meal and to gossip. While I am busy building my dream, Jason's dream is starting to fall apart. It turns out that having $60,000 doesn't make you a good businessman if you don't have a solid plan. Jason has been spending the money on a fancy office and expensive furniture instead of actually building his software. I hear him on the phone with Mom while I'm visiting one afternoon. He is shouting, sounding stressed and angry. He is asking for more money to cover unforeseen expenses. My mom looks older than I've ever seen her. She is pacing the floor, her hands shaking. She tells him that she doesn't have anything left to give. She gave him her savings, and she gave him my fund. She is tapped out. I sit there on the sofa, sipping my water, and I don't offer a single word of advice. I just watch. Jason's first crack is appearing, and he is realizing that money without hard work is just a temporary fix. He looks at me and snaps, "What are you looking at?" I just smile and say, "Nothing, Jason. Just enjoying my water." He has no idea how much the tables have turned. A few days later, my phone rings. It's Mom. Her voice is careful, high-pitched, and pointed. I can tell she has been practicing what to say. "Scarlett, honey," she begins. "You know Jason is going through a bit of a rough patch with the startup. It's just a temporary cash flow issue." I stay silent, waiting for the real reason for the call. "I was thinking," she continues, "since you're doing such a small, inexpensive wedding now, you probably have some extra savings? Maybe you could help your brother a little? Just a small loan to get him through the month?" For the first time in my 30 years of life, I don't even hesitate. I don't feel guilty, and I don't feel the need to explain myself. I let the silence hang in the air for a few seconds so she can feel the weight of it. "No," I say. The word is short and final. Mom sounds shocked. "No?" "But Scarlett, he's family. He needs help." I simply reply, "I'm focused on my wedding, Mom. Just like you told me to be." She hangs up on me, but I don't mind. I feel lighter than I ever have. The Family Guilt campaign starts almost immediately after that phone call. My phone begins buzzing with texts from aunts and cousins I haven't spoken to in months. "He's your brother, Scarlett," one text reads. "Family helps family," says another. My favorite one was from an uncle who said, "Don't be selfish just because of the wedding fun thing. Be the bigger person." It is amazing to see how quickly people can turn on you when you stop being convenient for them. These are the same people who watched me get sidelined at the dinner table. They are the same people who cheered when my money was taken away. None of them sent me a text saying, "Sorry, your wedding fund was stolen." But now that Jason is in trouble, they all have an opinion. I don't reply to any of them. I just archive the messages and keep moving forward with my plans. I realize that the family they are talking about is a one-way street. They want me to be a part of the family when it's time to give, but not when it's time to receive. It is time for the quiet power move. I finalize every single detail for the California vineyard. The venue is spectacular, with rolling hills and a sunset view that looks like a painting. I hire a world-class chef who creates a menu of local, organic delicacies. I choose a live band that usually plays at major festivals. Every choice is made with elegance and exclusivity in mind. This isn't about being flashy, it is about quality. It is about showing that I have taste, resources, and a life that my family never bothered to imagine. Ryan and I go for the final tasting, and we just laugh at how different this is from the small wedding my mom thinks is happening. We are staying in a luxury suite, and the staff treats us like royalty. I feel a sense of peace because I am finally doing something for myself. I am not shrinking my dreams to make Jason feel better. I am expanding them. I am taking up space. Everything is ready. The invitations are printed on thick, hand-pressed paper with gold leaf accents. They are about to be sent out, and the shockwave is coming. The invitations go out on a Tuesday. I know exactly when they arrive because my phone starts blowing up by Thursday afternoon. Mom calls me, but I don't answer right away. I want her to really look at the invitation first. I want her to see the name of the vineyard. I want her to see that the small wedding requires a 3-day stay at a 5-star resort. When I finally pick up the phone, she is breathless. "Scarlett." "I just got the invitation," she stammers. "What is this?" "This isn't the courthouse. This is in Napa Valley. The rooms are $500 a night." How are you paying for this?" I stay perfectly calm, sitting in my office in a silk robe. "Oh, the vineyard? We just thought it would be nice," I say casually. "Don't worry about the cost, Mom. Ryan and I have it covered." There is a long, deafening silence on the other end of the line. I can almost hear her brain trying to do the math. She knows I don't have that kind of money, or she thinks she knows. "Scarlett, how are you paying for this?" she repeats, her voice sharp with suspicion. I responded, "I always could, Mom." "What do you mean, you always could?" Mom asks, her voice rising an octave. She sounds almost angry, as if my being able to afford my own life is a betrayal. "You never said anything. You let me give away your fund because I thought you were okay, but you were hiding money?" I stopped her right there. "I wasn't hiding anything, Mom. You just never asked. You assumed I was low maintenance and fine because it was easier for you to believe that. You needed me to be poor so you wouldn't feel bad about giving Jason my money." I can hear her breathing heavily. The truth is hitting her like a physical blow. She realized that she stole from her daughter not because it was necessary, but because she was lazy. She didn't bother to know me. She didn't bother to see the agency I built or the success I achieved. She just saw a quiet girl she could push around. Silence hangs between us for a full minute. I don't feel it. I let her sit in the realization that she has completely underestimated me for my entire adult life. She eventually whispers, "I don't understand," and hangs up. That evening, I imagine Mom sitting in her kitchen, the luxury invitation lying on the table like a piece of evidence. She must be replaying everything in her head. She is probably thinking about all the times I was calm when she was busy with Jason. She is thinking about my independence, my silence, and my refusal to ask for help. She is finally putting the pieces together. She is realizing that my silence wasn't a lack of ambition, it was a sign of self-sufficiency. She realizes she never actually knew her own daughter. She was so focused on propping up Jason's ego that she missed the fact that her daughter was already a success. The low-maintenance label she loved to use was just a way for her to ignore me. Now, she can't ignore me. The invitation is too big, too beautiful, and too expensive to be ignored. She is realizing that the wedding fund she gave to Jason was a drop in the bucket compared to what I've built on my own. The power dynamic in our family has shifted forever, and she is just now feeling the ground move beneath her feet. The next morning, there is a loud, aggressive knock on my door. I check the camera and see Jason. He looks terrible. His hair is messy, his eyes are bloodshot, and he is wearing a wrinkled shirt. I open the door, and he practically stumbles inside. There is no smirk today. No confidence. No smug remarks about paying me back later. He looks like a man who is watching his world burn down. "Scarlett, you have to help me," he says, his voice cracking. "The startup, the investors are pulling out. I owe back rent on the office. I need $50,000 by Friday or they're going to sue me." I lean against the doorframe and just look at him. I don't feel anger. I just feel a strange kind of pity. $50,000? I ask. "What happened to the $60,000 Mom gave you?" He looks away, his face turning red. "It's gone, okay?" I had to make an impression. I had to look successful. I realize he spent my wedding fund on the appearance of success instead of the work. He is a hollow shell. I listen to him beg for 10 minutes, but I don't fix it. "I'm not your safety net, Jason," I tell him. My voice is firm, calm, and final. He looks at me like I've just spoken a foreign language. "But you have it. Mom told me about the wedding. If you can afford a vineyard in Napa, you can afford to save your brother." I shake my head slowly. I can afford the wedding because I worked for it. I didn't ask Mom for a cent. I didn't take from anyone else. I built something real. You took my wedding fund and blew it on a lifestyle you didn't earn. He tries to argue, but for once, he has no comeback. The reality is too clear. He is a 34-year-old man asking his low-maintenance sister to bail him out of a mess he made with her own stolen money. "Go home, Jason," I say. "Figure it out. Be an adult for once." He walks out of my house with his head down. I close the door and lock it. For the first time in my life, the weight of my brother's failures isn't on my shoulders. I have set a boundary, and it feels like a shield. I am finally free of the role they assigned to me. The wedding day finally arrives. The vineyard is even more beautiful than I imagined. The air smells of grapes and expensive perfume. Guests arrive in black tie attire, laughing and drinking vintage wine. It is a world of pure elegance. Mom walks into the venue, and I watch her from the balcony of the bridal suite. She looks stunned. She is walking slowly, her eyes wide as she takes in the floral arches, the orchestra, and the sheer scale of the event. Everything she assumed about me is being shattered in real time. She sees me in my custom gown, surrounded by powerful, successful people who are calling me boss and partner. She sees the international clients she never knew I had. She looks small in this environment. She is used to being the one in control, the one who decides who gets what. But here, she is just a guest. She is realizing that I didn't need her money, her approval, or her wedding fund. I have a whole life she was never a part of because she was too busy looking the other way. It is a silent, beautiful revelation. Throughout the ceremony, I can feel Mom's eyes on me. She isn't looking at me as the quiet, reliable daughter anymore. She is looking at me as a stranger she is trying to understand. When Ryan and I exchange our vows, she is crying, but they don't look like happy tears. They look like the tears of someone who realized they missed a whole story. She watches as the CEO of a major tech firm gives me a hug and tells me how much he values our partnership. She watches as I navigate the room with confidence and grace. I am not the girl shrinking in her own story anymore. I am the lead character. She sees me being underestimated by no one in this room except for her. The silent shift in her expression is worth more to me than the $60,000 ever was. She is finally seeing the woman I became while she was busy worrying about Jason. She is realizing that while she was giving Jason the startup capital, I was building an empire in the dark. I am the daughter she completely ignored. At the reception, the music dies down, and it is time for the speeches. I stand up and take the mic. The room goes still. I look at my mom, then at Jason, who is sitting at the back table looking miserable. Thank you all for being here, I start. It took a long time to get to this day. Not because of the planning, but because of the growth. I pause, letting the words sink in. Sometimes, people assume you'll always be okay just because you're quiet. They assume you don't need anything because you don't complain. So, they take from you first. I see Mom flinch. The room is so quiet you could hear a pin drop. But being okay doesn't mean you don't have dreams. It just means you have the strength to build them yourself when others fail you. I've learned that I don't need to prove my worth to anyone who has spent their life overlooking it. I am proud of the woman I am today, and I am proud of the life I've built with Ryan. I raise my glass. To know your own value, even when others don't. The applause rises, loud and genuine. My friends and colleagues are standing up, cheering. They know what it took for me to get here. They know the work, the late nights, and the grit. I sit down and feel a hand on my shoulder. It's Ryan. He leans in and whispers, "That was perfect." I feel a sense of completion. I didn't use the speech to attack my mother or Jason directly, but the truth was in every word. I didn't need to be petty. The elegance of the event and the honesty of my words did the work for me. I see some of my cousins looking down at their plates, looking ashamed. They remember the dinner where they laughed at me. They are realizing that the low-maintenance girl just threw the most expensive wedding any of them will ever attend. I continue the night with a graceful turn, dancing with my husband and laughing with my friends. I am no longer defined by what was taken from me. I am defined by what I created. The night is a triumph of the spirit over the ego. Later, as the party is winding down, Mom approaches me. The lights are low, and the vineyard is quiet. Her eyes are soft, and for the first time, she doesn't look like she's trying to manage me. "Scarlett," she says, her voice trembling. I didn't see you." It is the most honest thing she has ever said to me. She isn't talking about the wedding, she is talking about my whole life. She is admitting that she looked right through me for 30 years. "I know, Mom," I say gently. "You were too busy looking at Jason." She looks down at her hands, looking truly regretful. I made a mistake. A huge mistake. Not just with the money, but with everything. She looks up at me, and I see a flicker of real respect in her eyes. "You are incredible. I don't know how you did all this." I just smile. "I did it because I had to, Mom. Because I knew I was the only one I could count on." She reaches out to hug me, and this time, it feels real. She isn't hugging a low-maintenance child, she is hugging a woman she finally respects. Weeks later, things are different. The wedding is over, and we are back to our normal lives, but the family dynamic has changed forever. Jason's startup eventually folded, and he had to take a regular job as an entry-level clerk. He is starting over, on his own this time. Mom didn't bail him out, and I certainly didn't. He is learning what it means to actually work for a living. Mom treats me with a quiet respect she never had before. She calls me to ask for my opinion. She listens when I talk. She doesn't compare me to Jason anymore. And me? I'm happy. Ryan and I are starting our life together on a foundation of honesty and strength. I didn't need revenge to feel better. I didn't need to take anything back from Jason. I just needed to change the one thing that actually mattered: how they saw me. By refusing to be the victim, I became the victor. I am no longer the quiet daughter in the background. I am the woman who built her own world, and now everyone knows exactly who I am.